So how to get the cheapest flights possible? This is the question I get quite often, and after traveling on and off for the past 3-4 years, over 20 countries, at this point probably over 100 flight tickets booked, I want to share with you my ticket booking routine and all the little tips and secrets that I maybe have in stock for you, but also make them go direct to your destination. Be it an 8-hour flight or a 12-hour flight, we don't want long layovers. And in all of my travels within the last 3 years, I never had a long layover and I always had really affordable flights. And also that is connected to the fact that just today I booked the tickets for my next trip. How I did that and more coming up. So with that, welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny and here we talk about travel, health and mindset. And this question of how to get the cheapest flights, I get quite often because sometimes I put it on my Instagram, oh, I got these super affordable tickets, or just people ask me how do I afford to travel so much, like just the flying, it's so expensive. I'm gonna break down step by step exactly how I book my tickets, and at the end also a few bonus tips on things to maybe keep in mind what most people don't. And the truth is, back in the day, it has been a lot more expensive. In the last 10 to 20 years, but also just the last 2 to 3 years, things really changed. And that allowed us, for example, going from Europe to North America, to Asia, Europe, Australia, all of that within a year for pretty much the same amount of money as most people spent to just say, let's go from Europe to Australia round trip. So I'm not saying this right now to make people feel bad that they spend so much, but just to show you what is actually possible. So for 1 year of traveling, we spent just slightly over $1,000 for all of the flight tickets. So how exactly we did that. And also, so for the most part, or let's say the first thing that I do to just get a rough idea of what is available is the platform of Skyscanner. If I have a rough idea of where I want to go or a very specific idea, I just type in the country I'm currently at and the place that I want to go. At this point, for example, it has been Germany and New York City. And what is really so great, key and game-changing about Skyscanner back in the day was one of the first platforms to offer these services is on the one side you can go through all the different months to get a rough idea of when is the cheapest time to travel, and if you can, plan your trip in accordance to that. Number two that is really cool is that with Skyscanner overall you can just get a rough idea of where it is affordable and could make sense for you to travel. So basically you put in a start destination and as a go-to you put in everywhere to just get a rough idea of where it is. And what I do then to figure out what the cheapest place is to travel from, like let's say right now I live in Hamburg in Germany, but it's definitely not the cheapest airport to fly from. And I started researching Hamburg, maybe I look into different cities in my country, Berlin, and then I want to find the cheapest flights going to New York City. But usually it is with stopovers, with layovers of 5, 8, maybe even 10 hours, and I obviously don't really want that. And the cheapest flight that I at first glance found was going from Germany, from Berlin I believe, through Amsterdam and then to New York City. So there were also other options. So instead of just buying this ticket going from Amsterdam for like 220 or 230 euro, I wanted to look in how much is just a separate direct flight from Amsterdam, and it came out to be 169 euro 90, which is like 190 bucks, less than $200, which is pretty great. And the reason why I'm gonna be booking the separate flight is because with a bus I can get from Hamburg, the city I'm in right now, to Amsterdam in like 5 hours pretty much for 20 euros. So instead of paying 230 and flying from Hamburg or from Berlin to Amsterdam first, I just take a bus or any other form of transportation for 20 euro, and in the end it cost me 190 euro to go from door to city, New York City. And this is exactly what I mean by not having long layovers. This is how we almost always avoid super long layovers, just by figuring out the city from where the direct flight is going to be going and then figuring out the best way. taking like a bus, taking a train and not having like a super long layover, or maybe even spending a night in that city, or maybe a few days, and therefore just get to travel more and see more. Often when I book my flights back from, let's say, United States or Europe or Asia to Europe, very often I don't put in Germany, even though I maybe want to go to Germany, but I put in everywhere to see which European country is the cheapest one to travel to. And this is also what I did now, and how I got a crazy cheap rate, how to go from New York City back to Europe, and the cheapest one was Dublin. And the only reason how I was able to figure out that Dublin is the cheapest one, because I just put in New York City going to everywhere, and Dublin was by far the most affordable one. Because I know that in Europe there are multiple budget airlines that are gonna get me from any major city back into the area that I'm living, or actually into my specific city, for a very affordable rate, be it Ryanair, be it EasyJet. And basically going from New York City to Dublin for around €100, like 110, $15. And from there, I'm gonna spend the day, I'm gonna spend the night, and I'm really looking forward to it. Just, you know, to hang out in Dublin, check out what's up, like a video, 24 hours in Dublin, that's what it's gonna be. And then the next morning, I'm going for €25. The night I'm gonna spend for like €15 or something in a hostel. Done. Okay. Now let's get into little tips and little side notes. Skyscanner is absolutely beautiful. It's a great platform to get a rough idea, and usually in the end I end up booking the tickets on the airline's page itself. Especially with Skyscanner, the rates that are on there, sometimes they're not super up to date. Sometimes they're 1 or 2 or 3 days delayed. So I would always go on to the website itself to check for the price right now, because sometimes if you go all the way onto the website, it got more expensive. Some people sometimes, especially back in the day, they were saying like, hey, there are like days where statistically speaking the prices are the cheapest for airline tickets, or it makes sense to delete your cookies or be like undercover with a VPN, because the airlines are tracking your IP and they make the flights more expensive that you look more on. And I'm really not sure if that's the case. Over years and a bunch of tickets of booking. So for me personally, I don't see any truth in that. Tip that I would give to everyone: if you start really into looking into fares, buy as soon as you can. Don't spend hours and hours of time researching for tickets if you know that you're not going to be getting them in the next, let's say 7 or let's say 10 days. Because within that time frame, usually the prices go up. Rarely they go down. Sometimes they do. And you don't want to spend so much time for then this one itinerary of 3, 4, 5 flights that you have for yourself, for the prices to go up like crazy, and then you have to look for other routes or have to pay more than you actually could have. If you have any other experience, you're obviously very welcome to share that with the community. Okay, and the last little trick that I have for you is another software, another platform, which is the Matrix IPA, I believe. I use it sometimes to figure out if there are airports or airlines that I haven't have on my radar. So basically this is a Google software, and what is really cool about it, it has pretty much the same features as Skyscanner. You put in your departure and your arrival destination, and what you can do there is that within the country you can put a radius of like 50, 100 or 200 miles and see what other airports are there. Especially in places like Asia, where it's not that transparent what airlines are out there, what airports are out there. This is a platform that I like to use every once in a while, but still when it comes to usability, overall look of the software, I still prefer Skyscanner, especially because of the function of just, you know, traveling everywhere. And also connected, if you're going to a place where it's very likely that they have small airlines or small little airports, in my example, the Philippines, I would just put it on Google and like, what is the best way to go from here to there? And that's how we in the end got around to flying in a small, you could say like private airline with like 8 passengers or something like that. So at the end of the day, to summarize everything that I just say, when you get into booking a flight, start small and get a big idea of where you can go for what prices. So just put in your departure, the country that you live, the place that you roughly want to go to, and get an idea from where, what airport, what city, maybe even what country, if you're living like in Europe or I don't know, somewhere else where you can closely by, go into a different country with the bus. Use the everywhere tool to just figure out what place is the cheapest to go through. This is how you can get those direct flights, by taking a bus or maybe spending a night in the country and then the next morning jumping on a plane, direct flight. The times of 24-hour, 36, 40-hour flights are over. It's going to be more affordable. You're going to have more time, more comfort, more travel experience. When it comes to getting the best day to book your flight, compare all the different months and get the best deal that is out there for you. Obviously, plan in advance, plan accordingly. 3-4 months ahead is, for me, always the best time frame. So with that, I would be really interested. You are right now watching this video. Are you planning a trip somewhere right now? If yes, where is it headed to? If not, like, where would you like to go? And yeah, I hope with that, with these few tips, I was able to help you out to get a better deal next time. And when it comes for me, as I mentioned, I've been booking this trip right now to New York City. For me, it has been a big goal. I remember not just going there, but actually I'm going to be spending there quite a good amount of time. I'm going to be shooting videos every day, meeting people. And when I've been just starting out this channel, a big idea for me was within this year to be able to travel to New York City, to work from there. This was a goal, this was an idea when I just had a few thousand subscribers, like in this video, my year 2017. This is what I've been mentioning at the end of it. And yeah, right now dreams are gonna become a reality. We're gonna be acting on it every single day. So yeah, this is pretty much my story as of right now, and you're gonna see that on the channel in just a few months. So smash the thumbs up button if you haven't yet. If you're new here on the channel, subscribe for more practical tips like that, but also videos when it comes to traveling, when it comes to mindset, building discipline and getting ahead in life, getting more out of it every single day. With that, until next time, you got a world to see.